One of the things I get asked by members is what equipment do I use to actually run the business? They're interested in my video stuff, camera, lighting, computer, stuff like that. So what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go behind the scenes. And I'm going to just show you the equipment that I use to run the business and what the home office setup looks like. Okay, so I recently redid the home office somewhat. It's something that I've done many times. Got a new computer, kind of set up the cameras and stuff in a bit of a different way. And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. One of the things is, you could probably tell, I'm actually standing up here. So one of the big reasons that I did this was to re-implement the standing desk in the office. It's something that I had before, and then I kind of changed the setup. I had a big heavy PC, which I'll show you in a minute, and I just didn't want, it was kind of in the way to have that whole thing go up and down. So I went for several months not having that, sitting all the time, was noticing some back issues and things like that. So I decided to bring it back. Luckily, I kept the standing desk set up in the garage. So I brought it back in here and put it all back together. Got another computer, which is a heck of a lot lighter, and set things up in a different way. One of the big things that is important to me is that I've got a computer that I enjoy working with, and the other is that I want to have equipment that does not need to be set up or messed with every time that I want to use it. In order to record videos like this, I just want to flip a switch, turn on a light, and go. I don't want to think about it. And so I basically am willing to spend the money that's necessary to make that happen. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to just simply show you. In order to do it, I'm not going to be using that camera. We're going to just switch over to my iPhone, which actually has a pretty decent camera on it. I don't use it that often for Blog Marketing Academy videos, but we're going to record the rest with this so that I can flip the camera around and show you stuff. Okay, so you can see where I just was, okay, and we backed out here. Now you can see all the wires under there. There's not a lot that I can do about that because this is a standing desk. It goes up and down. And so those wires need to remain flexible. I can't exactly like tuck them all up in there and hide, because then they would be like, they would get all in the way with this thing going up and down. But this is the stand-up desk. I actually do not remember the name of the thing that's going up and down here. This tabletop is actually a kitchen countertop from IKEA. And so is this one down here, by the way. And so I just basically picked them up and I cut them to fit in here. This one fits right in there with the shelf, right up against the wall. This is just a little shelf thing that I'm using as a stand. And then I've got the same basic setup up here. The beauty of it here is this. The whole thing, you can see going up and down here. Let's go down. And you can see it just moves the entire setup at the same time. See? So that is a pretty big thing that I use. I actually spend pretty much every morning standing up, sometime in the afternoon. I mean, I'm recording this and it's probably about 2 o'clock in the afternoon right now, and you can see it's still up. I have not put it down yet. And so this is just a lot better for posture. I'm actually super productive standing up. Usually sometime after lunch, I will sit back down again, but whatever I do, I'm in the mood for, that's what I do. Now, the Mac Mini has never been a particularly impressive machine. I did own one back in the past. It did what it did, but I always saw it as a weak little computer that was like, put it in an entertainment center or something like that. Well, the new Apple Silicone, specifically the M1 chip that is out now, kind of changed the game. And now that little Mac Mini outperforms everything else I've got, including this gaming PC I just showed you, and it's by a pretty long shot. Now, here's what really got me thinking about this Apple Silicone, is that the phone that I'm actually recording this on right now, which is an iPhone 12 Pro Max, I can export 4K video on this phone, and it outperforms that PC. And it has no fans or anything, so I'm like, okay, Apple's obviously onto something. And they are, because if you go out there and look at reviews of that M1 based Mac Mini, they're pretty stellar. And so I decided to switch back to the Mac. This is the Mac Mini, Apple M1 chip in there. 16 gigs of RAM, 512 gig hard drive. You know, spec-wise, you would think, not a big deal. 16 gigabytes of RAM, that's pretty normal. I would say, though, with the Apple Silicone, that the 16 gigabytes in this would probably be about equivalent to having a 32 gigabyte of memory PC. And performance-wise, it seems to keep up with some of the top-end Intel processors out there, all without ever hearing it. Like right now, the PC is running. It's making a bit of a racket. This thing right here, completely silent. Even if I'm exporting full video and doing some pretty intense stuff, I never ever hear it. Now, so that's basically the Mac Mini. It's now what I'm using to do everything. It's now powering the two big screens, which is one of the main reasons I actually decided to use the Windows computer full time, were those two monitors. Now that I can power them off the Mac, I get the best of all worlds. Now, obviously, being a Mac Mini, you know, you got to bring your own attachments, okay? That's the way these things work, and that's why you see all that stuff down there right now. The two big things are the monitors. These are LGs. They are 4K 32-inch. You know, a gamer probably would not be impressed with these things, but for what I do, perfectly fine. And I mean, they're just two big screens. I love these things. Now, I mounted them on a stand. They both come with their own stand, of course, but sometimes you'd be moving the desk and the screens would wobble. So this thing gets them off the desk and increases the amount of desk space that I have because there's nothing touching. You know, and these things, you can move them around, adjust them really, really nicely. I can even take them and go vertical with them if I want to have more of a tall look on them, and it really looks out really, really nice. Moving down here, you can see I've got some basic stuff like this. Just kind of keeps wires from falling off. This is a standard USB hub, external hard drive, 1 terabyte. I picked up another one, which is a Samsung T7. It's a 1 terabyte, super fast drive right there. This is the Cal Digit dock. It's a Thunderbolt 3, I believe, or maybe even Thunderbolt 4 dock. Whatever the latest ports is on that, that's what that thing does. Gives me a bunch of the you know, connections there, and then on the other side, same thing. It also gives me the other display port so that I can power a second screen. Now, this particular Mac Mini can only power 2 screens. It's just the way they are. But now, I don't particularly need to go bigger than 2. To me, this is plenty of screen real estate right here. But so I power one directly off the Mac, and I power the one right off that dock. Gives me 2 screens, and we are golden. Okay? This here is a backlit keyboard that I picked up because I got spoiled by the backlit keyboard on the desktop. Decided to go ahead and get one from the Mac as well. This is what the phone usually sits on when I am not holding it. These are some AirPods Pros that I do use. I like to use them on the phone, but it connects beautifully to the Mac as well. Use that for Zoom calls and stuff like that, and as well as listening to other things. But the big thing is because these are less noticeable than these. These are my Bose Quiet Comforts. Love these things, massive productivity tool. They have great noise canceling. They sound fantastic. And I use them to listen to music while I work a lot. In fact, over here in the background, you can sort of see a little bit of YouTube music, or yeah, YouTube music, I think it's called. Listen to that all the time and over these, and it's just a great work setup when I want to concentrate and not hear the noise of my house. Okay, so let's talk about the video, because obviously I'm not using that thing right now. I'm just recording off the iPhone. But obviously content creation is a big part of what I do, so I have to have the gear. So let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is my main camera that is always attached to the desk. It's actually a Sony A5100. It's considered to be an older model now because they do have A6000, 61, whatevers. But you can still get these, and the reason I don't have the newer models is because I don't need them. I mean, obviously this camera can do more than just being used as a webcam, but I only use it as a webcam, and it totally does that fine, so I just go ahead and do it. One of the things that's really nice, is, and you can see me in it, is this flip-up LED screen that allows me, when I'm sitting here at the desk, I can actually see myself, make sure I'm in frame, kind of get an idea of what it looks like. Now, this lens is not the kit lens. This is actually the Sigma lens, specifically made for the E-mount on these Sony cameras. This is a 16 millimeter, so it's really wide angle. And I think it's down to 1.4 on the f-stop. And so basically it can give you that nice blurry background effect if your setup is right, okay? So it's a really, really nice lens. And so it's not a cheap webcam because obviously I do have a little C920 up here I use as a standard webcam. This is obviously much more expensive. In fact, this is probably about $1,000 worth of gear right there, but it's worth it for nice videos. Now you can see that I have it always attached to the desk. So it goes up and down with the desk, sitting on this stand. I'm gonna link to the links to all this stuff, by the way, below the video and on the post, okay? Because I actually don't remember the name of that stand right off the bat, but you can see it's adjustable. I could stick this camera up higher if I wanted to. All those things. Now, I've also got two of these stands here, which gives me the mount. And so I've got one that's not being used at the moment. The other one is back here holding up this light. And so you can see that it adjusts up and down. I actually have two of these lights. It's just one of them's not in use at this particular moment. But if I needed it, it would go on that. I probably would move it to the other side of the desk or wherever it is that I need it. But that's the setup here. This is an LED light from Newer. You can actually adjust the temperature, light temperature on it. I can adjust the brightness on it. But you can see that it just sits there and it's always in place. So basically when I want to record a video, I flip that on, I turn on that, open up ScreenFlow, which you can kind of see there in the background, and I go. That's pretty much all that's necessary. Now let's talk about the audio part of this. Okay, so here is the mic that you guys see me using in my videos most of the time. It's a Heil PR40, very popular with podcasters and broadcasters. It's sitting on this Heil shock mount, which helps protect it from, me doing stuff like this on the desk. And then I've got this boom, which the wire's a little loose here, but basically allows me to move it around and adjust it wherever the heck I want. So when I'm actually using it, I just kind of place it right there and I talk, and there I am, okay? When I'm not using it, I'm able to just kind of stick it out here behind the monitor and get it out of the way. But that's what it is. It's all made by Heil. It's a really, really nice mic, very, very, it's on the expensive side as well, but it's a great mic. And that's how that works. Now, how do I get it into the computer? Because this is all an XLR mic setup. I used to have a mixer. The mixer kind of went bad, so I went with a plan B. So if we go down here underneath into the guts of everything, I've got this little USB audio interface right now that's where all the audio gets piped into, and then it just it gets piped into the computer via USB. And then I have this preamp that's running all the audio through it. It's made by Cloudlifter, and that basically takes the audio from that mic, which is not amplified, and it will amplify it, but do it with a really clean signal so we're not picking up a bunch of background noise and stuff like that. Down here, stuff not that big of a deal. This is another set of Bose headphones. This is another microphone that I can use if I want, made by Samson. Those are a couple of controllers for the Oculus virtual reality, UPS in case my power pops out. We live in Florida, so that does happen. Okay, just so coming on back, that's just what the rest of the office looks like. Put the crown in here, custom flooring. This is a picture of my grandfather painted we keep on the wall. A bunch of crap in there. Some books and stuff over there. Here's the L-shaped desk we just showed you. Got the speaker under there. You may have actually heard a little bit of buzz from that for some reason when I was recording. Video doesn't come out as well when I record off the iPhone, but it just is what it is. And then we come back to the computer setup. So let's head back to the main camera. Okay, and we're back to the regular setup. So that's pretty much a tour behind the scenes of the office. One cool thing about also switching back to the Mac is that now that we have an all Apple household and I'm sitting here with a phone, those videos that I just recorded, I was able to record them on this and just hit tap and it goes AirPlay, shows up on the Mac. It is so much easier than trying to have a mix between the Mac and Windows. And so it really just comes down to productivity, how you can get things done quickly. For me, the Mac is an awesome content production machine. If I was on all Microsoft, maybe things would be as convenient, but definitely running a hybrid, a little bit of a pain in the butt. Okay, so it's really nice to be back on the Mac. I'm really enjoying the new Mac Mini. I'll give you a tour with all the different AV stuff that I've gotten here. Will I make any changes moving forward? Maybe. You know, my students inside the lab have seen in the background of some of the training videos how things have shifted over the years. But this is what I just showed you, what we've got here at the beginning of 2021. If you have any questions, be happy to answer them. Okay, talk to you later.